Welcome to Family Law Matters, the podcast presented by the Mealy Firm. Visit www.allfamilylaw.com or call 866-687-8561 to learn more. And now, here's your host.
Hello. This is Courtney Bernard-rance with the Mealy Firm. I am the managing attorney of our Cumming office. And thank you to all of our listeners for joining us on another episode of our podcast, Family Law Matters. So we have a particularly special podcast today. I am joined by a group of fabulous women in honor of Women's History Month and particularly International Women's Day, which I believe was March 8th. And so I am going to go ahead and allow my colleagues to introduce themselves.
This is Emily McClarty. I am an associate attorney out of our Forsyth and Marietta offices.
This is Cherish Dela Cruz. I'm the managing attorney for probate and estate planning.
This is Jeanette Sierra. I'm a sales assistant for our Cumming office.
Thank you all for being here. In the spirit of women empowerment, I am going to open up the floor with how do we specifically support and uplift women in our positions?
I think as a family law attorney, a lot of times I'm dealing with women who are going through divorce and are now entering that new phase in life that is the single woman, single parent, and approaching how to help them into that new role and into that new life. Understanding that perhaps if you were a stay-at-home mom and now you've got to enter the workforce, and how can I help you to find the internal strength to know that you can do this, and to help you build a resume to get out there and put your best foot forward to provide for both you and your children.
So when you say that you help clients, but because this is an all women's podcast, our female clients, what kinds of things do you do to help them put their best foot forward?
So not only on the legal side, where of course, we provide representation, but on a personal level, sometimes you just need someone to talk about what you're going through and to unearth the bad, perhaps, weekend that you had. And so I speak with our female clients who just need to talk about what's been going on in life and how to take those next steps forward. I'm happy to review resumes. I'm happy to speak with you about a schedule and figuring out how you can set up school for your children, your job, what that transportation looks like, beyond just the legal aspect of it.
When you are perhaps faced with connecting clients with like outside resources, do you find that some clients prefer, like a female doctor or like any sort of resource that is provided by a female professional? Do you find that that's true?
I haven't encountered that as much. Certainly, I think when it comes to some medical care or when it comes to care for their children, I find that they tend to ask for more women-led resources. I know the state offers quite a few resources specifically for women, and so offering them those connections and those phone numbers to get them those resources they're looking for. But it's all about personal connections. So to the extent that I have somebody that I can refer these women to and know that they're going to be in good hands, I try my best to.
Okay. Cherish, what about you?
I think that I help women in two categories. So as women are getting divorced and they need to update their estate plan. So their wills, their trusts, their advanced health care directives and powers of attorney. Their former spouse is no longer that person, that key person to make those medical decisions, the legal decisions, and also the financial decisions. And so it's helping them understand the importance of that transition and then looking towards the future. I think when our clients come to us, they just need to see some light and see the other side. It's having those, frank conversations of, yes, you will transition from this. It may be challenging, but also offering the different myriad of resources we have as a firm. So understanding, maybe they do need a carpenter, or maybe they do need a garage door opener person, and then the second in the way that I help women is with widows. So we do probate, and probate is, helping clients legally after somebody has passed away. Hopefully they've done some planning, and if not, that's okay. There's no judgment there. But helping widows, women statistically are outliving their partners. And what that means is, maybe a widow, an elder widow, hasn't ever written a check or has ever handled those financial situations. And when they come to me, they're also suffering from grief. So that's its own separate component, and just being there for them, listening, caring. And then also the practicalities of that, putting them in touch with the right resources. Whether, if they've never done financial things, maybe putting them in touch with a financial advisor or a CPA, or they're transitioning to a new section in their life, a life coach. All of those resources are key to helping them from where they were, where they are, and then having them look forward.
And that is very consistent with something that we are very familiar with at the firm, which is concierge level service. It's not just whatever their particular legal issue is. The concerns that they have far exceed just what the legal issue. It's often, what am I going to, like for the grieving widow, like who am I going to talk to about, what my life is going to look like now that my partner's not here anymore. Mm-hmm. And so, and then like, how do I find somebody to even talk to? And so I think it's great that we offer, a list of referrals, a list of services for folks of, facing all sorts of things in their lives. So beyond the legal issue, that is.
Definitely. And I have introduced women who are facing different challenges, and they have become friends. They have become resources to each other, and, creating community in their shared experience.
Absolutely. All right, Jeanette, how do you specifically support and uplift women?
Well, I think of like being back on when I'm on the phones, when they call in, it's the first person they hear. And so I always try to be as obviously happy because I am happy that they're calling so we can help them, but just a joyful smile and tone so that they can breathe easily, be like, okay, I called the right place, I can talk with someone. And when I get to talk with clients and do their intake in Spanish, I just try to be warm and welcoming. And I think it's helpful because a lot of them are Spanish speaking, and they're like, okay, she gets me. She speaks the same language I do. I can find a commonality here.
And Jeanette, prior to us getting on the podcast, we were talking about, just culturally, our cultural backgrounds. And so is there anything in particular that you can link between your cultural background and then some of the clients that we have as women?
Well, yeah, I get a lot of people that are from Mexico, and that's where my family is originally from. So it's helpful because sometimes we're from the same region, and we could talk about things that we both understand. And so culturally, I find somewhere to make them feel better when they're speaking to me. Because they're like, not only do you speak my language, but you're also from the same background as I am.
Okay, I think that's a great question I'm going to pose to the rest of you. Emily, anything to add to that?
Yeah, so culturally, my mother immigrated to the United States here from Cuba, fleeing the Castro administration in the 1950s, came here with nothing but the clothes on her back, and she has done an incredible job of just building herself up into the woman she is today and has made me the woman that I am today and has provided truly the backbone of who I am and has built me up and has supported me. And I think a good chunk of that is culturally, with a Hispanic background, is a very family-based culture, and family is very important. And so relying on everyone, especially the women in your family, to support you if you have something going on, if you need help. I have a house, help me. Yeah. So...
do you find that you bring that perspective into your work as an attorney, as you're representing people, but particularly women?
Definitely. To the extent that my mom came here with nothing, I obviously started my legal career from the ground up. So I was very fortunate to complete law school and get barred here in Georgia. And as I've grown through these last few years, it's been an incredible opportunity to rely, one, on the women here at the firm for support, which I do quite often. But I do channel my mom's inner strength. If she can do it, I can do it.
There you go. And I think we were talking about this before. I think the firm is like 70% women. It's like majority women. Yeah.
I didn't know the exact number. But
I don't know that the number is correct, but definitely a majority of us are women.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What about you, Cherish?
Well, I am Filipino, but I grew up in Toronto, Canada. So coming here to Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, my family's been here for about 30 years. And so it's vastly different. But family is a key component of that. My mother, too, was an immigrant. She came over by herself and then brought my father and then had us when we were in Canada. She is one of those resilient women that I admire. And her ability, which hopefully I have, is she loves people. She just loves people. She will make a friend everywhere she goes. She has a great community. And speaking to what you were saying, Emily, about not leveraging family, but utilizing family, having that resource of family, it truly takes a village. I have 3 children of my own, and it was aunts and uncles and cousins and eating a lot and just having that village of people that I can count on. And I found that here at the firm. Prior to joining the firm, I was a solo, and then I went to another firm. It was predominantly male, and not that it's bad or anything, but there's a different, I would say, vibe or community feeling.
Absolutely.
And what I love about the firm is family, the celebration of family at all aspects. So whether it's your elderly mother or whether it's your baby twins growing up.
Sounds familiar.
Yes. But one of the things I absolutely love, and what shocked me, was when we would jump on our stand-up meetings, which are daily meetings across the world now, every day, Monday through Friday, and we see babies. We see dogs, we see cats, we see elderly parents, and it's a beautiful thing. That is unique, I believe, to our firm.
I agree. And I thought the cultural piece of this conversation is particularly important, given that we are an international law firm. And so, and of course, one of our core values is celebrating diversity.
Yes.
And so I think that we do a very good job at the firm of honoring that, holding ourselves to that value.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to pose this to Jeanette. How does your role directly impact the lives of women?
Give someone space to talk to someone. I think I serve as that little avenue of they have someone to talk about their problem with no judgment and just give them encouragement as best as I can and give them the resources and reassure them that they've called the right place and that we have excellent attorneys that will help them accomplish those goals.
I think you might agree with me when I say this. People are often calling in at one of their darkest days. They're going through a crisis and they are looking for some light. They are looking for some avenue to help them through that crisis. And so, and I think you being one of the first people that they speak to, I think that ultimately accomplishes that meets them when they're at. They're needing that, that comforting, that warm feeling that, oh, I feel comfortable having this conversation with they've never met me. They don't even know what I look like because I'm on the phone. But like them knowing that they can call in and speak to you. And I think that's a beautiful thing that you bring to folks that call in.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to jump in on this one?
I think one of the categories of women that I deal with are women that have suffered abuse, either physical, mental, emotional,
financial,
all of the above. Yes. In their relationship, and separating from that and learning how to overcome that and how to use that almost as a strength, pushing you forward. That you have survived that, you can survive anything else coming forth. Don't give up hope. And it's been incredible to see some of the women that I've represented from when they first walked in the door as a for lack of a better term, like a little shell of a person. And now they're leaving the door just a completely different woman who is ready to take on the world. It's incredible.
Transformed, if you will.
Yes.
That is
I like
a key
that,
word
yes.
at the firm. So they are transformed for sure.
Yeah. I think that as advocates, one of the things that are not only the community in our firm, but the advocacy, right? And advocacy can look like different things for different roles. So advocacy as the attorney in court, and we are amazing at that. But advocacy also in terms of daily life, advocating, okay, well, yes, I need more parenting time. Advocacy for just, tapping the resources that we have. We are very skilled at advocating. And so as a result of that, and what I've seen from the family law side, and also in estate planning, if there is litigation, but just the transformation, like you were saying, it clearly is, one person that started out 6 months ago, maybe a year ago, who is completely transformed, who feels empowered to take the next step, empowered to advocate for their children. And it's a beautiful thing.
Terrence, I'm going to stick with you for a second. I'm going to focus in on the estate plan because you mentioned probate litigation. I'm going to focus on the estate planning side of this next question, which is specific to that. Can you think of an example, obviously without giving names because confidentiality, but can you think of an example where you notice the direct impact that you had on an individual, a female client?
Yes, definitely. So somebody who had an estate planning, they owned a business, and, they were putting their plan together. Unfortunately, several years later, their husband passed away, and then just seeing them transform. But I helped in the day-to-day transition, right? So she really did not know how to do anything financially. So I put her in touch with the right financial advisor who also understood, who also had the same shared cultural competency. So it's not one thing, it's a myriad of things, absolutely. Right? With all of our client experience, it's multifaceted, right? So it's their socioeconomic status, it's culturally, what do they understand? It's their age. And then it's also sometimes thinking their able-bodiedness. So whether mentally, what can they do and what they can't do. So some of our clients have disabilities or, navigating through that. But we helped her find an assisted living. She was able to write her own checks. She was thriving in her community.
That's awesome.
And then just, passing it down to the second generation, having the hard conversations of, okay, your husband passed away. We are here for you for life. Helping her during that stage of assisted living, but then also thinking about, what do you want your grandchildren to have? What is the future that you picture for them?
Mm-hmm. Outside of the firm, within your communities, how are you uplifting women?
For me, I'm on a couple of boards, specifically one that comes to mind that empowers women is the Women's Collective. It is a group of senior management C-suite leaders in the Metro Atlanta community, and we do a lot of mentorship and also training and also educating the next generation, because most of us are in senior leaders of positions, that we see the need for helping younger women. And what that looks like is either networking, putting them in touch with the right people, helping them navigate having a child, helping them navigate their next promotion, or helping them navigate, potentially a job loss, and finding the right contact to help them. But there is a formal mentorship program so that they have each other, and then also as they're going through this leadership program, hopefully they'll have contacts and connections.
Anyone that knows me knows that I am a chatty Kathy.
What? That's crazy.
I will speak with anyone about anything, anytime. So a lot of times, what I do for a living as a family law attorney comes up in conversation, and it sparks something, either in the person I'm speaking with or in someone that they're next door. I was at the dentist the other day, and the dentist had asked me what I was doing for a living, and I said, well, I'm a family law attorney. And he said, oh, hold that thought. Went out, got one of the dental hygienists, and she had a question regarding child custody. So
you never know. Yes. You never know.
Now, were you in the chair at the time?
I was in the chair. The Novocaine had not been injected yet. So
I was picturing the dentist with like the tools, and then they're like, wait, we have a family law question.
Yeah. But I think being able to just kind of put it out in the world and realizing how common family law issues really are in our community. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter who you are, you most likely know someone that is going through some kind of family law issue. And so reaching out to those people, and even if I'm not the right resource, connecting them with the proper resource for what they need, and not just leaving them hanging in the situation that they're left in.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, I don't have the dentist experience, but
you have your own experience.
I have. No, but for me, I've learned, I've become very popular in my family. They start asking me questions. They're like, well, I have a family. I'm like, whoa, hold on. So
you have to give them the disclaimer.
Yeah, I was like, let me disclaim. I'm not an attorney, but I quickly be like, okay, here's the information that could possibly help you, the name of our firm, our phone number, and everything. And so giving them those resources, like Emily, I do talk a lot. So when I meet people and they do ask, I'm like, I work for a family law firm. And I just shameless plug, check our website.
Yes. There you go. I posed that question because something that we truly hold ourselves to is our involvement in our communities. And so I wanted to just harp on that for a second. And now I'm going to switch gears because we've talked about work. We've talked about within the community. What about within our families? How do we empower our family members, our female family members?
I think for me, I am more, I would like to be an example for my niece who is 9. Y'all probably know my little Bella all over Facebook. So for mi niña, I try to be that example of look, we came here with nothing, and look how many generations in, like I'm a first generation college graduate working in a law firm. Like that's a big deal for immigrants. Like I don't know if Ms. Sherry's going to agree, but it's a big deal.
Definitely.
So that's how I want to empower my niece so that when she gets older, she's like, well, my tia Jeanette did it, so I can do it too.
Yes. I think that's great. I mean, I have 2 wonderful teenage daughters, and they're fantastic. But I liked what you said at the beginning of the show of taking the pieces of what you like, what you can relate to, and weaving that to become a role model and mentor. I have teenage girls, and they're their own individuals, and I celebrate that. But also culturally, family, legacy-wise, what are the values that we want to impart to our younger generation of women in our family? And so taking the best parts and weaving that and having our own unique conversations, values, is key for my girls.
It's a particularly important point for me, having a daughter myself. And we were talking about this before logging on for this podcast, and taking the recipe that older generations have spent time and time cultivating, changing, making better, and taking that recipe and passing it on to my daughter so that she can make it her own. Because I don't want you to be me. I want you to be you.
Right.
And I want you to create a picture of what your success looks like. My success is mine. I want you to be success in your own right. And I want to, of course, give you the tools and the framework to make that success for you and make it yours. So, yeah.
It's like I'm hearing my mom.
I can't put the mom voice away. Once you get it,
once you get it, you'll never ever. It never stops.
It doesn't. Yeah. What about you, Emily?
Well, I have not been blessed with any children, and I kind of grew up an only child, for lack of a better term.
What about friends?
Well, yes, my friends are really more like sisters, and I try to take what I do to help them and empower them. And I've got a few who are on bumpy paths. And so we sit down and we talk about it and we plan next steps. And they're doing better now. We're making progress.
Life is going to have bumps.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But I'm glad to be that support system for them and to provide them that sisterly advice and that tough love nudge to get rocking and rolling again.
I can certainly relate. I have a sister, but I can also relate to friends that are super close. We've been friends for years, decades, and being that support and knowing that they know that they can come to me for anything that they need. So, all right. What accomplishments are you all particularly proud of as women?
2 things. I think being a mother, it's transformative. And so it's not without its challenges, but
like I said, life has bumps.
But I think being a mother and then also being a cancer survivor. So I can relate to the mom piece of that, but also my mother is a cancer survivor, and I was her support system through that process, so I can relate to it from that aspect. I am brand new into being a mom, and so I know that you've seen it from when they're super tiny and how they grow up, and there's, like you said before, they have their own personalities, they are their own people, and I am seeing that happen before my eyes, how they grow into their own people, and it's wonderful, but it's scary. Especially when you're arguing with yourself.
Yes. And they're right.
Yes.
But you can't let them know that they're right.
You can laugh in the background.
Yes. What about you, Emily? Accomplishments?
My mom likes to talk about the different, I'll backtrack a bit. There is a large generation gap between myself and my mom, who is, she's going to hate me for saying this, from the baby boomer generation. And so the workforce that she grew up in is much different than the workforce of today. And so a lot of times she talks to me about how incredible it is to see the influence that women give into our company and the influence that we have on society and in court systems and in the world, because growing up in that generation, she didn't have those same opportunities. And so I'm very blessed.
Biggest accomplishment for me is the fact that I was able to fulfill my grandparents' American dream. My abuelita, she had 7 children, 6 of them daughters. God bless her. I don't want to be her. But she was what I like to say, a tough cookie. She had to be, to bring us all to America and give us a better life. And my biggest accomplishment was going to school and graduating, being a first-generation Mexican-American. And she would encourage me as a kid. She goes, that's why I came to America, because I wanted my daughters to have a better life than what we had back home. And my aunts didn't go to college. So when I came around, my grandma was like, oh, no, I'm going to make sure you go the right path. So although she's no longer with me, her constant encouragement and her strength of like, yes, we're women and we got to hustle and we got to do things right. I feel like I've accomplished that for her.
Yes, we have.
And I imagine that you probably hear her voice in the back of your head every time you're like going to do something, and the voice is there. Yeah. And that's
Definitely.
awesome. For me, I can relate to everybody here because I am also a child of immigrants. My parents are from the Caribbean. Both immigrated here when they were fairly young. And so they set on a path to establish themselves here in the United States, and also instilled in me and my sister that we need to do better than they did. I mean, my parents are success in their own right, but of course any parent is going to want that for their child. You need to be more successful, whatever that looks like. It doesn't have to be the same type of success that we had, but success in your own right. And so I am proud of the accomplishments that I have, because I feel like it's very much in line with what they identified for my sister and I. Graduating law school, becoming an attorney, and then now I'm a mom, and I just get to see the interactions between my daughter. I mean, both of my children, but because this is women's podcast, my daughter, and the interactions that she has with my mom, it feels like it's full circle a little bit.
It's totally full circle.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
They love it too, and it's like it is full circle, and the relationship that your mother has with your grandchildren is entirely unique.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to bring it back to the firm. What kinds of things do you all do to support, uplift the women of the firm?
I try to bring the joy and fun. And so whether it's a silly quote, a meme, and then also I'm pretty good at reading people's energy, and whether or not, we can, just laugh. Laughter is good. Joy is good. We have stressful jobs, and if I could just bring the joy just a little bit, or make someone smile or laugh, then I'm good.
I bring food.
Can confirm.
Yes.
For our listeners, can confirm.
No, that's how I show my appreciation to my team and how much I love all the ladies in my office is I bring food. I bring my amazing singing talent. But I bring food and try to little Disney magic here and there, little quotes.
I will say, Jeanette, it works. The vibes are very good at our office because of all that you do to lift us up and support us, especially because the families that we help, it's not always positive. It's not always, a good situation that they're in. And so lifting us up will then allow us to pour into their cup and lift them up as they're going through their crisis. So that is why I particularly appreciate how we support each other. So, Emily.
I feel like I play that listener role a lot of the time. Anyone that has ever been to our Marietta office will see the majority of the firm kind of clustering into my office.
It's because you're known as the listener.
A lot of what we do is very heavy, and you just need to take a break, midday to do and talk about something else from your personal life maybe, or something to decompress what you're going through. And then that kind of gives you that energy spurt to say, all right, I'm ready to get back into it. And I like to provide that little bit of break and relief for the people here at our firm.
In that vein, what advice do you find you give to our clients, who are female clients, when they are particularly stressed, not having a good day, because you're a good listener and you give great advice? What kind of advice do you give to our female clients?
Well, I am happy to shoulder the stress. If it is just a matter of calling me up to vent, I can take it. Let me take it. If it will allow you to kind of, sometimes when you just speak your mind, you just feel better. Like it's just
cathartic.
It's totally cathartic.
So I'm more than happy to do that. I tell our female clients, I am here to put you kind of on a pedestal, and I'm kind of holding the pedestal. So whatever I need to do in order to help build you up and in order to allow you to move forward, I am happy to do so.
Right. Jairus, what about you?
I think especially in probate cases, the stress and anxiety of not knowing what to do next.
The uncertainty of it all.
Uncertainty does not work, and they don't know how to process it. So even just simply saying, okay, we've got this, we've got a plan, we're going to strategize, because execute strategically is one of our core values. And then when they initially come to me, they are concerned, anxious, but then when they leave, that's alleviated because we've discussed the options, because we've strategized as to how to best deal with a situation, and then a plan. Love a plan.
Love a plan.
I'm going to tag on to that really quick, because I know, at least on the family law side of it, sometimes things pop up out of nowhere.
Sometimes.
And I don't have a plan for you right now. What I can tell you is take this one step at a time. This too shall pass. I know it seems like the world is coming to an end and is crumbling right now. I promise you, hang in there. The light's at the end of the tunnel. Just bear with me and bear with us as we work through this together.
And I mean, I agree with you, Emily. And it's not uncommon for us to sit down in the room and nobody has a plan, but you sit down and you figure it out. You lay out, you create a plan together. And it's great because it's in the moment. It's a plan that is specific to their needs at the time. And I'm sure that they feel a lot better walking out of the room than they did walking in, that like now they have clarity. Now they have something that, something tangible, something that they can hold on to. And yeah, it's a really good point.
Well, I don't get to do all that you guys get to do. But for me, I know when we have clients that come in with like small kids, I turn into Thea Jeanette really fast. And I'm like, do you guys, when I was in Marietta, we had like the coloring books and things like that. So I'm like, y'all want to color? So I would do anything to like keep the kids busy so that mom can be like, okay, let me focus on this right now. Because although y'all are amazing mothers and y'all do everything, I feel like that little bit of a break helps.
It definitely helps. Yes.
I agree. So how can we inspire our listeners to empower the women around them?
I think that if somebody is uncertain as to the next step, whether it be divorce, whether it be estate planning, whether it is, to adopt a child, to do a surrogacy contract, as you've heard in the last hour, we have an amazing, amazing community of supportive, kind, extremely brilliant women. So give us a call. We want to help you.
My mom has an analogy that she loves to use.
I love a mom analogy.
It is all about planting seeds and seeing what grows.
Oh.
So you don't need to be the one going out there, putting down fully bloomed flowers and watering them and making sure that they blossom. You just need to plant the seeds. And it is up to that person that you plant the seeds with to water and care and nurture them to turn into something. So just that little bit of support and love and care that you show someone is enough to plant that seed of empowerment.
I like that. Yeah, that's really good.
Agreed. Just being as a person of just being there to encourage them, just to listen to them, just to give them the tools that they need, whether they listen, take your advice or not, but at least they know you're there and they'll take it in and eventually do something with it.
All right. Very wonderful words. I appreciate you all for being here on this podcast. And for our listeners, if you all want to learn more about us, please visit us at www.allfamilylaw.com. Thank you. See you next time.